Hey guys, so welcome back to episode 2 of Bedtime Stories with Jasmine. So today I wanted to talk about what to do when your birth doesn't go as planned. For example, I plan on having a natural birth, and let's just say it didn't go anything like that. So I just wanted to get into that today and talk about that a little bit and help other people who are either pregnant or plan on having a baby prepare for this, because I feel like this is the one thing that women are prepared for the least. So I wanted to get into that and share my experience and hopefully inspire somebody else or help someone else that's going through a similar situation or may go through a similar situation. So let's start with my birth. My birth was supposed to be a natural birth at a birth center here locally. It was only like 20 minutes away from my house. We toured the birth center, and we originally had shopped, well, not necessarily shopped, but like we had initially, I guess we would say, shopped the idea of me having not a natural birth, but like a regular birth at a hospital. But the hospital that my doctor was birthing at was an hour away, and I just really wasn't feeling the whole hospital aspect from the beginning. And we also had a surprise gender, so it's just like, we kind of always wanted to do things as organically as possible, but I didn't want to have the baby necessarily at home. I wasn't against the at-home birth. I like the idea of the birth center because it provided the option to be somewhere else with medical professionals, well, nurses. They're all nurses, most of them. And like, just the birth center was so nice. There's 3 different rooms. You could do whatever. You could eat all day if you wanted to. You could have all types of whatever people you wanted in there. You could do whatever you wanted, and I love that because the hospital was absolutely opposite. So my whole pregnancy, I'm planning on, well, not my whole pregnancy, because it wasn't until 20 weeks that I started seeing my midwife and going to the birth center. And even then, at 20 weeks, you're only going to the doctors maybe once a month, and I had my baby at 32 weeks. So yeah, I think I only had 2 appointments with them before my baby was here. And as you know, or for people who are new, my baby was born very early with a severe birth defect, and I also had preeclampsia that turned into HELLP syndrome. So we'll get into that, but just with that in mind, the birth center was not an option. So yes, many women, especially nowadays, it's more common to want to start thinking about a natural birth, a home birth, and I just want to preface that if that is something that you're looking into doing, it is mandatory that a regular doctor, like your OB, clear you for that. You will be asked for medical clearance. They will want to know all your history to make sure that you are a good candidate. And I can't remember the ages specifically, but I do know that my birth center asked for women that are between the ages of 18 and 35, and either on their first or second child. It's not that you can't do multiple births there, it's just these are the preferences because they want to limit the, I guess, chances of something going wrong. And they are a birth center, they are not a hospital. So if you need a blood transfusion, if you need extra medications outside of like an IV, like a basic IV drip, or I know mine offered Pitocin after you given birth, but that was about it. There's very limited things they could do medically. So if you needed any type of medical intervention, or the baby needed any type of medical intervention, obviously they're not gonna birth you there. So yes, I know a common question I get is, how did I deal with that? Because I had planned for a natural birth, so how was that with the last minute change? And I will say, to preface, it was easy only because when I went into the hospital, I didn't know what was going on. I had a very easy pregnancy, so I had no idea that I was gonna be going into the hospital for labor. And I didn't even have my hospital bag packed. I was not thinking about that. Like, the day I went in, I thought I was going home, and then they told me I had to stay until the baby was born. So I really didn't have time to even think about it or be upset about it, because at that point in time, you're worried. But these are a few hacks to help reclaim that natural experience. And My midwives did come in and check up on me, but they really weren't my primary doctors. I was seeing an emergency medicine doctor, an OB that was there, another OB that delivered my baby, and NICU professionals, because they just knew that my baby was going to be a preemie. So yeah, for that, the first thing was just letting go of the idea that you're gonna do this without any medication, especially if you have preeclampsia or you're having an early baby. They're gonna wanna give you steroids to strengthen the baby's lungs, and for preeclampsia, you're gonna be put on magnesium and all kinds of things. But what I will say is that you can definitely ask and decline things. My very first day, they were like, okay, we're gonna put in a catheter. And I said, I don't want a catheter. And they're like, you either have to get up and use this like pot that's next to the bed or get catheterized. Obviously for them, it was easier for me to be catheterized, but for me, my preference was not to do that. So I just had to make some people mad and tell them I didn't want to do that. Unfortunately, I ended up having to get it anyways. And even then, I would still argue that I didn't have to get it. But at that time, I had been in the hospital so long. I was tired. I was literally breaking down every day crying because I hated being there. I was tired of all the medication, and I was tired of everybody forcing me to make decisions that I didn't want to make. Like they literally would refer to me. They would put in my charts that I would refuse to take my medicine and I would refuse to take this. But I was misdiagnosed so many times. I was told that I had hypothyroidism, and then later on they're like, actually you didn't. I'm glad that you refused to take that medicine because you don't have this. Oh, you have high blood pressure. I took high blood pressure medication for about 2 months, and I'm sitting here almost ready to pass out every day. I don't have any energy. I'm falling out. I go to a cardiologist, they're like, you don't have any heart problems. Like, it was just ridiculous. So with that said, if you are put in that situation where you wanted a natural birth, stay with your original ideas of not wanting to take medication. Do accept the fact that you will have to take some, but if you feel like that's not for you and that's not what you want and that's truly your best intention, your best thought, do it. If you have any questions, ask someone. And I definitely will urge every woman, I don't care, like, it's so worth the money if you can get you a midwife or a doula to be a part of your birth, even if you're planning on having a birth at the hospital, because they will offer a different opinion, a different approach, something, and they'll advocate for you, or at least have somebody who's advocating for you. Thankfully for me, my primary nurse, she actually has, like, in her bio, we're friends now, but she has in, like, her little bios and stuff that her goal is to help women reclaim their birth experiences while in a hospital. So although she's not necessarily a doula, she's still there for all of that natural, holistic approach. And she was just, like, she was cheering me on. She was there for me the whole time. She was the only one that wasn't really treating me like I was crazy or being defiant because I didn't want to take those drugs, even though I ended up doing it. Another thing is just for your environment. Set up string lights in the room. You can, definitely ask and make sure it's not in the way of things, but you can set up string lights. You can put up a little tapestry. I had that in my room, and a oil diffuser. So if that's something that you like, definitely consider doing that. I had mine on, but I turned it off maybe like 1 or 2 days into my hospital stay. I was there for 7 days, mind you, because it was just too strong of a smell. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this, so just turn it off. But, you know, if you still have it in your room, I don't know what other people's are like, but if you still have it in the room, you can smell it. So that definitely helped a lot. And then 3, just making sure that your partner knows what you want. Making sure that your staff is clear with what you wanted. My staff knew that I was supposed to be a birth center patient, so they tried everything possible to let me still have a vaginal delivery, which is what I did, thankfully. And I'm so thankful that all my staff was actually all African American. I had all African American staff because here in Atlanta, that's pretty common. So at the hospital I was at, every doctor I had was African American. I felt safe. I never felt like they didn't have my best intentions. And it was just cool to see people in a profession that look just like me and understand, you know, common issues with Black women. So it was awesome to have them, and they really tried everything to kind of help me still have that vaginal birth. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm in there breaking down, and my OB walked in and she said, look, I get this not what you want, but you can't have everything you want, okay? So you're gonna have to take this epidural. I know it's really like beyond what you had planned on your birth, but you're gonna take it, and if you don't take this, then you're gonna have to have C-section. There's no way that you're gonna be able to deliver vaginally without a epidural. So after she talked me through it, I was like, okay, I'll get it. And I'm so thankful she did, because I was emotional about it and the whole like not having a natural vaginal delivery. But that epidural, let me tell you, I needed it because of my blood pressure. It would not stay regular, and I did not want to have a C-section. So I'm thankful for it in that aspect. I'm also thankful for it because I had a retained placenta. So that would have been very painful with them trying to rip it out of me. It didn't happen. So I had to go to the OR, but I had already had the epidural and everything. So just everything was so much easier with it, and I'm thankful that I had it considering the circumstances. But I just want y'all to understand that sometimes things happen for a reason, and it may not be as planned, but it's what's best for you. So another thing is, oftentimes, since you have so many people like working on your case, like you'll have a main doctor and like your nurse, but there's day shift, night shift, there's things going on all the time, there's so many people coming in and out. Sometimes, at least for me, they'll misplace, or I don't know how you misplace it, but they would retest me for things that they've already tested me for. And because that was like, these doctors were not my doctors at all before I had Quincy. They did not have my medical records, and for some reason they never really got transferred fast enough, or whatever the case may be. So like, I had to get like, you know, all the tests that you get taken, like your STD test, you have to get your blood sugar check, everything. Like, I had all these tests, and then like 2 days later they're like, oh well, we don't have your STD test, so we gotta do it again. And it's like, what do you mean you don't have it? So another hack, and I'm not sure if every hospital does it, but if it does, and if you can, use MyChart. I have the MyChart app. My son's doctors also use the MyChart app. Other doctors that I've used in the past in other states, because I'm from Maryland and I also lived in Alabama, all these people have MyChart. So I'm assuming that most doctors have them, but if they do, definitely get the MyChart app and watch it and keep it, because there was times where I had to, you know, refuse, because I'm always refusing stuff. I had to refuse having tests taken again because I've already had them taken, and it's like, I don't understand how a test I took 2 days ago, y'all don't have it, and then later on after because there was a couple times where they did give me the test again anyways, or gave me medication for no reason, then it would be like, oh, we have your results now, you didn't need it. I'm like, right, and I told you this. But you can tell them all you want. Sometimes they just need to see the paperwork. So make sure that you stay on top of everything that's being done. It's gonna be hard for you as the woman that's having the baby. So maybe have your spouse, a friend, have somebody there for you that is advocating for you. And that's again why I say, really consider having a doula or a midwife or somebody that's there for you during your birth, that's going to be able to keep track of those things, because it was a mess for mine. Like, it was all over the place. And again, I loved my staff there. I don't think there's anything overall wrong with the staff. It's just, it's a hospital, it's busy, and I was not one of their already registered patients. I literally walked in off the street, and now I'm here for a week and I have to have my baby there. So that was something kind of important. But yeah, just to end this off, I just want you guys to understand and know that there's so many books, so many classes, so many things that you're gonna probably do during your pregnancy that you think is going to prepare you for a baby. And I just want you to know that nothing's gonna prepare you, because every situation is different, but it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. I have always wanted to have a natural birth, and I understand that that's not going to be possible for me due to my history. Now that I have a history, so I won't be able to have one, but going in next time, I'll know exactly how to make my birth as comfortable for me as possible. And number one thing in this is speak up. Like, do not be afraid to speak up. I know that you may not be a medical professional, you might not even know what you're talking about, but speak up and express your concerns, because somebody will be like, hey, you know what? I noticed she's really against having a C-section. Let's find other ways to make this possible for her. Or, you know, she's really scared of needles. Let's find other ways to administer this medication. It may not be the fastest or the most convenient for them, but it's what you want. So really do try to express your feelings. Again, expect the unexpected and do be prepared for things to not go your way, but don't be afraid to still try to reclaim your birth and make it the way you want it to be, because that's what's most important. So yeah, definitely leave down in the comments any other topics you guys want me to talk about, any stories you want to hear from me, things that you would like to see from us. Sorry it's taking us such a long time to get videos out. For those of you who don't know, my son has a birth defect and he's been having quite a few surgeries lately, and we are moving. So it's a lot going on, but I'm gonna try to be more consistent. So yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks guys, good night.